right, should be up and running here. There is the closing bell. All right, so we do have quite a bit to get caught up on here. Last we talked, we were waiting for the weekly sell trigger, and it definitely triggered. Okay, there it is. So we'll be going over that, reviewing what's happened over the last couple weeks, and preparing for tomorrow. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for June 22nd, 2022. I have been out for the last couple weeks, but I think if you had been following along, you were prepared for the price action that has occurred since then. So we talked about underneath this sloppy base here, underneath 302.69 there on the Qs, and there it is highlighted on the SPY as well, underneath 406.90, long-term bearish. Okay, if we broke above, we look more of a short-term bearish or short-term bullish. That was kind of the plan for that. If we did get some kind of transition there, but we got continuation instead. Daily downtrend remains, and that downtrend got a lot of follow through. Big gap down, another big gap down. There was the Fed interest rate, which tried to pop, but then we gapped down. If you've been following the market wrap for any length of time this year, you know that after each of the Federal Reserve interest rates announcements that we've basically watched to see if the move will hold or get completely negated. And that's what we've seen quite often, is that the attempts to move up after the announcement just get sold. And we saw that again last week. Actually, the sell-off started even before the end of the day, whereas in the past it would close strong, and then we would get the gap down the next day or the sell-off the next day. Okay, in this case, it turned into a pretty big topping tail there, and then we got the gap down and the continuation lower. So, nothing really new that we haven't seen or that you couldn't have kind of been prepared for. We got the daily sell set up, the daily breakdown and the weekly sell set up right there as we were watching for. And we definitely got some follow through to that. Okay. All right. So where are we now? We did get a decent sell off. We are extended here on the daily a bit. So the question now is, will we get a short-term bounce? Okay, which we've gotten a little bit of one already. As you can see here, the hourly on the Qs and SPY have started to turn up a little bit. But remember, we are long-term bearish, right? Daily has been in a downtrend, weekly also in a downtrend, and then monthly, right? Tried to do a buy setup here, not quite able to get going, and then failing. So you see the weekly uptrend broken as well. So we do have time frame alignment on all the larger time frames. It's just the hourly here, which is trying to transition. Without the hourly going into an uptrend, there's not going to be much potential for daily, weekly, monthly to do so. So hourly needs to turn bullish first before we're going to see it on any of the larger time frames. Okay, so for tomorrow, we're going to remain bearish. Okay, we still have bearish time frames all across the larger time frames, anything that's not intraday. Now for the hourly here, if we get back over today's high, we can be short-term bullish. Okay, really the spot that this needs to clear is all this resistance here to the left, 286.80. But I'm gonna, for me, for tomorrow, just gonna use today's high. I think once we get above this, I don't think it'll be too much to get through here. We can see we've already broke into this range here, these topping tails, a couple times already. So I think if we get back up through it, then we'll actually probably take it out. Okay, but what's going to happen next after we move up, right? We'll be looking for another daily sell setup. Okay, we have a bit of one already on the Qs here. Now for a sell setup, we often say a series of higher lows or 3 or more green bars. So we do have the green bars here. Yeah, I guess we do have a couple higher lows there on the Qs. The SPY really only has one higher low there, so SPY doesn't have really a complete sell setup, but the Qs basically has one. Not the prettiest, but does have one. So gonna remain bearish as long as we stay below today's high. Okay, not a very strong close to today. It was a very strong open. The fact that we gapped down and actually bullied the gap, so we actually went from the previous day's breaking the support to through the previous day's high, basically breaking resistance, but we're not able to really hold all of that, and even closing down a little bit on the Qs, SPY as well. So we're going to remain bearish. Larger time frames overall dictating the direction here. All right. One other thing to note here, which we talked about as well in the room, if we do get the hourly transition here, the longer it takes, the better. And an interesting spot here on the weekly. Okay, as far as support goes, it isn't something that I'm looking at expecting we're going to get a really nice bounce or, put an order down there and just expect to buy it when we get to it. But as far as support goes, we are into a major support area. Okay. Having said that, I'm going to remain bearish. All right. It'll be really interesting to see how we deal with it. I'm going to stay with the trend for now and expect that the trend will continue. All right. We were looking at this earlier, the last time that the Qs actually were below the weekly 200. Goes all the way back to 2009. Okay, so it's been a long, long time. Okay, but because we're all in this all-out downturn, I am expecting this support to eventually break. Okay, but it is an interesting spot. All right, as far as trades today, I took today pretty easy just to get back into the swing of things. I didn't think today had a lot of standout plays, really. There was just the ATHA from Sammy this morning. We had a mega gap. This is what we call a mega gap, where basically gaps off the chart. You have no references as far as support and resistance. And just as mega gaps, you can go either way. Ended up being a long. So really nice play as it broke out there above the top. I think it was only a 12-cent stop or so. So that was really, really nice on the ATHA. But yeah, I didn't really see a whole lot, and then didn't really find a whole lot to trade really either. So hopefully, we'll have a bit more to look at tomorrow. It was a pretty weak gaps list. And if the market gets moving again like it was last week, we'll definitely have more gaps going on. Okay. All right. Hope you've been doing well these last couple of weeks. Hope you had a nice day today. All right. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and I'll talk to you then. Have a good evening.